Welcome back to Legacy Labs. Today we're talking about content, more specifically why your content can keep starting over even if you're posting consistently. And I know that sounds strange because most people are told consistency is the answer. Post more, show up more, build a calendar, use better hooks, use AI, get the content out. And consistency does matter, but consistency alone does not mean that the content is building memory. You can post every week, every day, across multiple platforms, and still feel like every post has to reintroduce you from scratch. That usually means that the problem is not effort, it's continuity. Most people don't have a content problem, they have a continuity problem. So the surface problem is what it looks like. So the person is posting, the ideas are there. Some posts are good, some posts may even perform well. People may like them, save them, comment, respond, but the content does not accumulate. The audience reacts to individual pieces, but they don't always learn the larger system. They don't know what world the creator is building. They don't know what to associate with the person over time. So every post starts over. Every platform feels separate. Every caption, article, video, or thread has to explain the person over again, and that's exhausting. It's also structurally expensive because if the content has no memory, the creator has to keep doing all the work that the system should be doing. The issue is not always consistency. Sometimes the issue is continuity. So it's what people try. So most people try to post more hooks, more templates, more patching, more content pillars, more AI prompts, more platform advice, more show up every day pressure. And some of those things can help. A calendar can help, a better hook can help, AI can definitely help, but none of it solves the deeper problem if the content system has no stable structure underneath it. Because more content does not automatically create recognition. Sometimes more content just creates more places for drift to appear. The question is not only what should I post, the better question is what structure allows my content to stay recognizably mine across every format. And that is where content architecture begins. So the structural break. So the structural break is simple. It is possible to produce content without preserving meaning. It's possible to be visible without becoming recognizable. It's possible to post consistently and still have no content memory. That happens when the post moves, but the system does not compound. The creator keeps producing, the platforms stay active, the output keeps coming, but the audience does not learn the larger pattern. They may remember one post, they might remember one line, they might remember one useful idea, but they do not remember the world. And that is where the content system breaks. The problem is not effort. The problem is that the system does not know how to remember itself. So a simple example. We have Maya. Maya's a consultant. So Maya's a consultant who helps small business owners clarify their message and organize their ideas. She posts a strong LinkedIn post about burnout, and then she writes an Instagram caption about brand clarity, and then she writes a Substack essay about AI workflows. Each piece might be good by itself. The LinkedIn post might get comments. The Instagram caption might get saves. The Substack essay might have real value, but the audience cannot connect those pieces to one recognizable content identity. The system feels scattered. The surface read says Maya needs to post more consistently, but the structural read says Maya needs content architecture. Her ideas, voice, platforms, and AI workflow need to preserve the same meaning across formats. That's the difference. Posting more gives her more output. Content architecture gives her continuity. So the content architecture read. From a narrative architecture view, content architecture uses 6 primitives: pulse, pressure, rhythm, inheritance, motif, and memory. These are not decoration, they're structural functions. So, pulse. Pulse is the recognizable emotional signal behind the person's work. It's not just the niche, it's not just the job title or the bio. Pulse answers who are you every time you show up? What should the audience feel underneath the work? What is the signal that makes the content recognizably yours? Without pulse, every post has to reintroduce the creator. That is why the system feels unstable. Pressure. Pressure is the central tension that the content speaks into. What problem keeps coming back? What contradictions does the creator keep naming? What frustration, desire, fear, or hidden tension makes the content necessary? A lot of content gets weak here. People talk about topics, but they do not own a pressure. Without pressure, content may be interesting, but it has no gravity. It does not pull the audience into the larger pattern. So rhythm. Rhythm is how the content moves across platforms, across formats, across posting cadence, across the creator's actual life. And that last part matters. A content system should not be designed around fantasy discipline. It has to fit the person who has to use it. Some people think in essays, others in voice notes. Some people think in short posts. Some people need videos. Some people need one deep article that becomes smaller pieces. Rhythm turns content from a burden into a repeatable system. So inheritance. Inheritance is what gives the work weight. It's the lived experience behind the work. Training, culture, professional background, contradictions, values, personal history, the world that shaped how the person sees. This is why two people can talk about the same topic, but one sounds generic and the other feels rooted. Inheritance is not just what you know, it is what your knowledge has passed through. Without inheritance, content becomes replaceable. As a motif. So motifs are the repeated signals that people associate with you. So a question, a phrase, a story, a visual pattern, a reoccurring tension, a concept, a format, a way of naming the problem. Motifs teach the audience your world. They say this belongs to this person. Repetition is not laziness. Repetition is memory encoding. So memory, what the audience should remember after encountering this person repeatedly. So memory answers what should the audience remember after encountering this person repeatedly, and that is this is where most content systems fail. A post performs, then disappears. A video works, but it doesn't reinforce a larger identity. A caption hits, but it does not build the system. Memory turns isolated content into a recognizable body of work. When content has memory, every piece reinforces the larger architecture. So the diagnostic is this. The content is active, but the architecture is not stable enough to preserve meaning across platforms, formats, and time. So why AI makes this more important? So AI makes this even more important because AI has made content easier to produce, but it hasn't made meaning easier to preserve, and that distinction matters because AI can generate captions, outlines, posts, emails, articles, script, summaries, but if there's no content architecture underneath the output, AI has to guess. So it guesses the voice, it guesses the structures, it guesses what matters, what should repeat, it guesses what should be softened, and it guesses what should never drift. And because AI is fluent, the output could sound good before anyone notices that the meaning moved. And that's the danger. Fluent output can hide structural laws. A creator may read an AI generated post and think this sounds polished, but polished is not the same as true. Polished is not the same as recognizable. Polished is not the same as structurally yours. Content architecture gives AI something better to work from. It gives the system a map of what must be preserved. So content strategy versus architecture. So strategy asks, what should I post? Architecture asks, what is this content built to carry? Content strategy asks, what are my pillars? Content architecture asks, what is my pulse? Strategy asks, how often should I post? Content architecture asks, what rhythm can my actual life sustain? A generic AI setup will ask, what prompts do I need? Content architecture asks, what meaning must AI protect before it writes anything? Branding asks, how should this look? Content architecture asks, what should people remember? And that's the difference. The goal is not more content. The goal is content that remains recognizably connected across platforms, across formats, across time, and across AI tools. Also across pressure. Also across the pressure to sound like everyone else. So a better question. So we ask different questions in narrative architecture. So instead of asking, what should I post today? Ask, what did I notice that deserves to travel? What should my audience remember? What pressure does this content return to? What part of my voice must stay intact? What motif should repeat? How does this post reinforce the larger system? How do I preserve meaning while changing formats? Is this output recognizably mine? Those are better questions because they shift the goal from production to continuity. You're not just trying to feed the platform, you're trying to build memory. So the strategy shift. So the strategy shift is this. We're going to stop treating content as output, and we're going to start treating content as a memory preserving system. Map the person before building the content, define the pulse and pressure, create repeatable motifs, build a memory layer across platforms. That's the work. Content should not only appear, it should accumulate. It should teach the audience what to expect. It should create recognition. It should preserve voice across compression. It should help AI assist without flattening. It should turn scattered ideas into a system that can move. So what this looks like in practice. So a person might come in with scattered ideas, right? So notes, voice memos, client stories, opinions, half-written posts, article ideas, AI drafts, posts that work but didn't compound. The work is not to dump all of that into a calendar. The work is to map, the system underneath all of it. So first, what is the pulse, the emotional signal that people should feel every time this shows up? Then what is the pressure, the central tension that the content keeps returning to? And then inheritance. What's the inheritance? What lived experience, expertise, culture, training, or contradiction gives this person's work weight? Then the motifs, what should repeat until the audience recognizes the world, and then the rhythm. How should this person actually create, post, repurpose, and distribute without burning out or becoming someone else? After that, we're going to do the memory layer. So that's how each piece reinforces the larger identity instead of disappearing. From there, the system becomes practical. So we have content lanes, article ideas, short posts, LinkedIn angles, Instagram captions, video prompts, Substack notes, AI workspace instructions, voice guardrails, platform translation rules, a repeatable way to turn one insight into many expressions. The system becomes more than a calendar. It becomes a structure for preserving meaning. So the diagnostic question. So the diagnostic question is this. If your content disappeared tomorrow, what would your audience remember about you? Not your bio, not your job title, not your last post. What would they remember? The way that you see the world, the problem that you keep naming, the phrase that they associate with you, the emotional signal that you carry, the question you always return to, what kind of truth you make easier to recognize. If that answer is unclear, the content may be active, but the architecture is not stable yet. That doesn't mean your content is bad. It just means that the system is not preserving enough meaning yet. So where Legacy Labs fits in. So Legacy Labs has a product called Content Architecture. Content Architecture maps a person's voice, ideas, audience, goals, platforms, and AI workflow into a working content system. The goal is not just to help people post more. The goal is to help people help their content become more recognizable, repeatable, and meaning preserving. So across Substack, LinkedIn, Instagram, short form posts, YouTube videos, AI assisted workflows, the process maps the persons before we build the content. And because the process that we do, it maps the person before building the content, because the content should not make the person sound like a category. It should help the person become more recognizable as themselves. So I will link this article under in the description rather. So I wrote an article about why your content keeps starting over. So it's basically what we just went over, but way more in depth. Also, I will link the content architecture setup if you want to take a look at that. So what we do is we get all your information, what you do, what you want to talk about, stuff like that. We map it onto the 6 primitives, and then we create a system specifically for the content that you're trying to put out there. So if you're trying to do like educational influencer type stuff, we'll map all that stuff out, create an AI guardrail and a content system that you can use. So I will link all that stuff in the description. And if you guys have any questions, definitely feel free to reach out. My email is in the links, and all the information is in there. So yeah, I hope you guys have a great day, and I'll talk to you on the next one. Deuces.